Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up? This is Rama Screen. Welcome back to the live stream. Just want to cover this topic before I go back to rest because I am currently sick from, I'm suffering from bronchitis. I've been sick this past few days, so I need to get a lot of rest and lots of water. But before I go back to doing that, just want to cover this, trying to pick your brain on this topic. So, Bob Iger, the one Disney CEO, the one I mentioned earlier in my previous video about the actor strike, the tone deaf comment that he made, he apparently also made other comments in his recent interview with CNBC's David Faber at the Sun Valley Conference. Um, and here's what it says here. I'm reading off of Variety. Bob Iger admitted the studio screwed with audience expectations by offering up so much streaming content. The negative impact of that has been commercial disappointments in theaters, be it Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania not even reaching $500 million worldwide, or disappointing openings for summer tentpoles Elemental and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Both movies flopped at domestic box office. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny actually did a little bit better the international box office. But both Elemental and Indiana Jones flopped domestically. And Bob Iger says, let me get you guys to see it here. There you go. And here's his quote. Can you guys see it? Okay. There you go. There have been some disappointments. We would have liked some of our more recent releases to perform better. It's reflective not as a problem from a personal perspective, but I think in our zeal to basically grow our content significantly to serve mostly our streaming offerings, we ended up taxing our people way beyond, in terms of their time and their focus, way beyond where they had been. Marvel is a great example of that, Iger added. They had not been in the TV business at any significant level. Not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of television series, and frankly, it diluted focus and attention. That is, I think, more of the cause than anything. So basically, he's saying that the reason why our movies, especially Marvel movies, have not been doing well at the box office is because there's too many Marvel TV shows as well simultaneously on the Disney Plus, and that's because we were so overly ambitious about it. We wanted to get Disney Plus to be successful so much so that we're like bombarding our audiences with all these contents. Um, well, there's truth to that. I think I mentioned to you guys before that it might backfire, and it did. The fact that Marvel releases too many stuff too often. Like there's like one Marvel movie every other 2 months or so, right? In the past, in phase one or phase two, at least like a 5 months difference. But now it's like every other 2 months, and in between those 2 months, um, range or disparity, if you will, they bust out the TV shows on the Disney Plus. Remember, on the Disney Plus, it's like Marvel show for like a month run or a month and a half run, and then what? Star Wars show, right? Whether it be Andor or the Mandalorian or Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Marvel show, Star Wars show, Marvel show, Star Wars show. You know, that's how it is. So now it's like, dang, you're just like it's so all up in your face. And there's this it's true, the old saying that absence makes the heart grow fonder. You've heard that, right? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. um and there's such a thing as a guest that overstays their welcome. You don't want somebody. No matter if you like Marvel, being a guest coming into your house, you love having Marvel around. Marvel's fun. That one guest that just like cracks up jokes and such a good company. But if that guest, Marvel keeps showing up at your door like every week, you'd kind of get pissed at it too. Like, oh, I need a break. I want to watch something else. And so that's where we are right now. There's just like they keep like one after the other after the other. It's like there's no absence that would make the heart grow fonder. There's no break in between, if you will. So there's truth to that, to that comment that Bob Iger made. I think he's correct on that point. But also, it's not all on him or on them, if you will, Disney or Marvel Studios under Disney, because there's just too many contents out there. You know, not just Disney Plus, Netflix bust out like freaking 12 new original series or movies on a weekly basis. Peacock, there's Amazon, there's what, Hulu, all these other like streaming services. So um, choices and options have never been this many in the history of television. There's just so many, and I think the audiences are just kind of overwhelmed. Um, and the third factor, and I'm sure you've heard this, a lot of people, Star Wars fans, they don't want to subscribe to Disney Plus. They don't care about the Disney movies like Cinderella or Little Mermaid, or many of them don't even care for Star Wars. They just subscribe to get that run of the Mandalorian new season, and then they unsubscribe after the Mandalorian season ends, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Andor, whatever it is, or Ahsoka that's coming up. So there's that third one, the third factor. Like, people don't hang around, they don't stick around on Disney Plus. Can you blame them? Because aside from Star Wars or Marvel, like the rest of them are just for family friendly kid stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, yeah. I mean, and those are the three things. Let me read. Continue here. Addressing the poor box office performance of Pixar's Elemental, Iger cited the studio's decision. Excuse me. Decision to put three Pixar movies on Disney Plus in a row during the pandemic. Soul, Luca, and Turning Red all skipped theaters and went straight to streaming. Lightyear and Elemental, the two Pixar films that exclusively opened in theaters afterwards, flopped. So he basically said, hey, because we released Soul, Luca, and Turning Red back to back to back to back on Disney Plus only, by the time we released Lightyear and Elemental in theaters, people were like, well, what's the point of going to the theaters? Let's just wait for the movies to hit Disney Plus, which we all know they would anyway. So that's what he says here. There were three Pixar releases in a row that went direct to streaming, in part mostly because of COVID. And I think that may have created an expectation in the audience that they're going to eventually be on streaming, and probably quickly, and there wasn't any urgency. And then I think I think you'd have to agree that there were some creative misses as well. So that's the fourth factor, right? So I gave you three reasons earlier, right? The third one being the people subscribing and unsubscribing. Now this is the fourth reason. People are like, why bother going to the theaters? It's expensive, the theaters anyway, right? Especially when you add the concessions with the popcorn and soda. With a big family, you'll end up like freaking like $500, for one night. That's crazy. So can you blame the audiences for not going to the theaters and just wait for the movie to arrive on Disney Plus? I don't blame them. And so this goes to the whole bigger picture issue of like the studios are trying to figure out how to fine tune this streaming service format that or age that we are in right now. And this is their excuse for not paying their writers and actors. They were like, oh, we're not making profit because people are subscribing and unsubscribing only for Mandalorian, or people are this or people are not watching because there's too many contents out there. We have competition with Netflix, so that's their excuses. Like we're not making money. But then if you are not making money, if you're not profitable on Disney Plus, then why are you paying Bob Iger and all or the streaming service studios in general? Like why are you paying your CEOs an exuberant amount of money? That means you have money. We can see that they're getting paid like hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like you can't cry poor and then pay your CEO hundreds of millions of dollars. But I'm telling you this. I'm sharing you this info to give you, I guess, a view from Bob Iger's lens, if you will, from Bob Iger's perspective. Um, and he said that he called the studio's decisions to put three Pixar films on Disney Plus in a row is a mixed blessing because we've trained audiences that these films will be available for you on Disney Plus, and it's more expensive for a family to afford to go to a theater when they know they can wait. Yeah. I guess one thing they can do is just like maybe widen the window gap, between the theatrical release and the Disney Plus release. But then again, if the theater results are not doing well, of course they want to dump it, straight to Disney Plus immediately, like just like DC with Black Adam. A month after it flopped at the theater, they just dump it into HBO Max. So I get it. I get it. I don't know what the solution is. To be honest with you, as far as the Ant-Man Quantumania flop, he said sequels typically work well for us. But do you need a third and fourth, for instance? Or is it time to turn to other characters? I think we just have to look at what characters and stories we're mining, and you look at the trajectory of Marvel over the next 5 years. You'll see a lot of newness. We're going to turn back to the Avengers franchise, but with a whole different set of Avengers. As you know, there's a couple more Avengers movie, right? Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, and I think Secret Wars, one of them. So he said, like, Ant Man. Do we need Ant Man 3? Like, do we need really Thor 3? The Love and Thunder last year, and that's a good point. That's a good question to ask. Like, did we really need those movies? In hindsight or looking back, I mean, especially Ant Man and the Quantumania. You saw the movie, right? There was no point to that story. As my friend Michael Dikina would put it, nothing really happened in that movie. Because guess what? Kang survived. Kang, as the main villain, didn't get killed. Because, oh, what's the point of all this? When the post credit scene is gonna, and then the next movie he's gonna be having Kang Dynasty anyway. It's like there was no point to that third installment at all. The Quantumania, nothing except it's a wannabe Star Wars. That's what the movie was. So but oh, sorry here, I don't know. But the Guardians of the Galaxy did well at the box office, so we have to be fair at that. Um, where is this? Where's this? Oh, we go. So there is audience. You know, if you give them something that's familiar and you give them something that's a trusted brand like Guardians of the Galaxy, because people already like the first two movies, they will come back for the third one. So that may say something about Ant Man as well. When people are not showing up for the third movie, maybe that says something about the the previous two Ant Man movies. Maybe. So that leads me to the next one. Here says Disney pulling back on making Marvel Star Wars contents. So real quick, Disney is slowing down when it comes to making movies and TV series for its Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm franchises. CEO Bob Iger said on CNBC Thursday, "You pull back not just to focus, but also as part of our cost containment initiative, spending less on what we make and making less." Um, Earlier this year, Disney rolled out a brand reorganization of the business that included 5.5 billion in cutting close. Oh, why is this? There you go. Cutting costs. I'm sorry. Cutting close, of which $3 billion, which would be I'm sorry, let me read that again. Earlier this year, Disney rolled out a broad reorganization of the business that included $5.5 billion in cutting close, of which $3 billion would be slashed from content excluding sports. And let me give you the last paragraph here. Uh, Recently, Warner Brothers Discovery has been in talks about licensing HBO content to other platforms, including Netflix. The company also has removed content from its Max service and licensed it to free ad-supported streaming platforms such as Fox Corp, Tubi. Disney has followed suit in taking down content from its streaming platforms. So that's part of their cost-cutting initiative. So they're eliminating contents or they're shopping those contents to other networks or to other streaming service. Um, just like what WB Discovery is doing as well. Um, so that's the state of the streaming service business at the moment. It's a disruptive power. You know, it's not like the old days, the old media anymore, and everybody's just trying to figure out how to work this, how to fine tune it. You know, on the perspective of the studios, and then how to monetize it, how to reap the benefit from the streaming service, from the standpoint of the workers, the writers, and the actors. Um, I read somewhere that the actor strike might last at least until fall season, you know, award season, December. So, which is crazy. That means the actors will not be allowed to promote their films at the Venice Festival or the Toronto International Film Festival, which is insane. Because that's where they usually go for the fall season movies. Um, I don't know, man. If you were to ask me, I think it might go even longer because this is such a complex, complicated issue. You know, that's not gonna be not gonna be easy to solve within like just a few months. They have to figure out. They have to get their heads together. You know, trying to come up with something that's fair, that's win-win for everybody, and and one that doesn't give the optics as if the CEO gets all the shit while the workers got no jack shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they need to figure out, and I don't think it's gonna get resolved within the next 5 months. So just brace for impact. The production getting shut down, TV and movies. It might take longer than we expect. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll definitely see. What do you think about this? Do you agree with Bob Iger in that the reason why Disney is struggling is because there's just too many contents, too many Marvel stuff, too many Star Wars stuff, you know? And do you find it like, oh, do you look forward to, are you excited about the possibility that Disney might cut down or reduce the number of Marvel or Star Wars contents that they're going to release every year? What do you think about this topic? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Let's rock this.